What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today is LazyDaze Tubby back at it again on my solo channel, and I am doing some more history reaction for you guys today. And it is some more WarHawks content for you, and it is the American Civil War series. We are on the Battle of Belmont. I'm really looking forward to finding out what they got in store for me today. They make amazing content, always enjoy it. If you haven't already, please head over to WarHawk's channel. The link is down below. They're making amazing content, telling a great story of this time period, giving us great details, great maps, absolutely amazing. If you're enjoying my reaction to this and looking forward to more, you know what you need to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, but we're going to jump straight into this one.
By the early fall of 1861, the Union Army's Western Department under Major General John C. Fremont is still reeling from the crushing defeat of Brigadier General Nathaniel Lyon's Army of the West at the Battle of Wilson's Creek in August. With his department's headquarters located in St. Louis, Missouri, Major General Fremont aches to strike back at Brigadier General Sterling Price's pro-Southern Missouri State Guard. However, the threat posed by Confederate forces in southeastern Missouri under Major Generals Leonidas Polk, William J. Hardee, and Brigadier General Gideon J. Pillow hold him back from launching any major offensive action. Over the summer, Brigadier General Ulysses S. Grant, a rising star officer in the Western Department, had won Fremont's confidence with minor displays of competence and energy. And so, on August 28th, General Fremont appointed Grant to command of the District of Southeast Missouri.
Very interesting.
Fremont posted General Grant at Cairo, Illinois, and defined his mission: clear southeast Missouri of rebel forces and occupy Columbus, Kentucky. Grant's mission seems much easier when Generals Pillow and Hardee abandoned southeast Missouri in September. Still, the dominant terrain feature of the area is a great swamp, 5 to 25 miles wide, extending from the Arkansas borderline northward to a point parallel with Cape Girardeau. This marshy terrain offers shelter for the swamp fox, Brigadier General M. Jeff Thompson, and his mobile band of Missouri State Guard partisans, allowing them to move about southeastern Missouri with impunity. General Thompson evades determined pursuits but seeks fights and conducts raids with a frequency embarrassing the Union Army and demoralizing Northern sympathizers. Indeed,
So unfortunate.
Thompson possesses a combination of sense and bombast, of military shrewdness and personal buffoonery. General Thompson was a thorn that continually pricked or threatened to prick the sensitive Union flank, and he appeared to be covering Confederate detachments towards General Price. Fremont believes to the point of paranoia that Price, Thompson, and Polk are all working in concert. Thus, it becomes elemental to Fremont's Missouri strategy to cut communications between Columbus, Kentucky, and Sterling Price. The possession of the little steamboat landing at Belmont, Missouri, would assure this. At the Battle of Fredericktown on October 21st, the same day that the Battle of Ball's Bluff is raging in Virginia, Grant manages to bloody General Thompson's nose by dispatching units from Cape Girardeau and Bird's Point after the Swamp Fox, keeping him on the run. It was during this small skirmish engagement that a 1,500-man federal detachment from the 11th Missouri and the 20th Illinois under Colonel Joseph Plummer, a veteran regular army officer who had been wounded in Ray's cornfield at Wilson's Creek, manages to consolidate control over southeastern Missouri. In September, the national spotlight in the West shifts from Missouri to the divided and precariously neutral state of Kentucky. Both sides have been recruiting men and organizing regiments openly in the self-proclaimed neutral border state, but they are doing so in a fashion as to not alienate Kentucky's divided population. However, the August 1861 elections bring in a Unionist legislature to Kentucky thanks to a boycott by secessionists. This marks the beginning of the end of neutrality in Kentucky. On September 3, 1861, Major General Polk violates Kentucky's neutrality by ordering Brigadier General Pillow to occupy the city of Columbus. Kentucky was now caught in the...
That was a mistake, sending Pillow to Columbus, I think. The fact that Turkey? Wow. Kentucky wanted to stay neutral and they wasn't able. Because Pillow took Columbus. I can see how that's gonna cause issues.
midst of the conflict that it had tried so hard to avoid becoming involved in. With Confederate forces invading the Commonwealth, Kentucky is now at the forefront of the Civil War's Western theater. Brigadier General Grant arrives in Cairo, Illinois to take command of the new district the day that Columbus falls to the rebels. Immediately, Grant begins proposing a countermove, which General Fremont approves. Gathering 2 regiments and steaming up the Ohio River, Grant seizes Paducah, Kentucky on September 6. It is a magnificent show of offensive initiative on Grant's part. Although Generals Polk and Pillow organize a belated attempt to drive Grant from Paducah, Confederate General Albert Sidney Johnston arrives to assume command of the newly formed Army of Central Kentucky. Johnston then aborts the
Grant's being a proper thorn in their side, isn't he?
to retake Paducah, instead ordering Polk and Pillow to begin fortifying Columbus in order to block the Mississippi River. General Grant presses Fremont to allow him to launch a raid against the Confederate forces downriver from Cairo, but is ignored. As October passes with no major action against the Confederates in southeastern Missouri or Kentucky, Major General Fremont's position begins to grow more precarious. Finally, President Lincoln withdraws his support of Fremont and decides to relieve him. This change of command will give Grant opportunity to finally take the fight to the Confederacy. This would be the first true test of Ulysses S. Grant's command leadership in battle during the Civil War.
Let's go.
Grant's expeditionary command for the raid on Belmont numbers 3,114 men and officers, and is organized into 2 brigades. One, based in Cairo, is led by Brigadier General John A. McClernand, an Illinois political general with connections and friends in high places. The other, headquartered at Bird's Point, is commanded by Colonel Henry Dougherty. 2 cavalry companies and an artillery battery are also attached to Grant's expedition. Bright sunshine greets Grant's men on Wednesday morning, November 6. The camps at Cairo and Bird's Point come alive early with feverish activity as the regiments pack knapsacks, cook rations, clean and reclean weapons, and undergo careful inspections. Colonel Francis B. Folk's 30th Illinois and Colonel John A. Blackjack Logan's 31st Illinois march down to the Cairo levee at about 3 p.m. that afternoon and begin filling over the stage planks onto the transport boat Alex Scott, the largest of the private steamers Grant has under contract. Colonel Napoleon B. Buford's 27th Illinois, the 3rd Regiment in McClernand's Cairo Brigade, embarks on the James Montgomery. Captain James J. Dolan's Independent Company of Illinois Cavalry board either the Rob Roy or the Chancellor. Most of Grant's wagons are placed aboard the Keystone State. Before they embark, however, McClernand sends a telegram to his friend Major General George B. McClellan of the Army of the Potomac, alerting him to the expedition. At about dusk, the fleet departs Cairo and steams across the river to Bird's Point on the Missouri shore, where Grant's large and luxurious Belle Memphis takes aboard Colonel Henry Dougherty's 22nd Illinois, while Colonel Jacob Lawman's 7th Iowa joins Buford's men on the Montgomery. Also boarding steamers at Bird's Point are Colonel Ezra Taylor's 6-gun Chicago Light Battery and Delano's Adams County Cavalry Company from Illinois, commanded by Lieutenant James K. Catlin. All is ready and the sun is setting when Brigadier General Grant comes aboard the Belle Memphis. Soon after dark, Grant signals to Union Navy Commander Henry A. Walk aboard the USS Tyler that the embarkation is complete. Walk eases the gunboat Tyler into the main channel, closely followed by the gunboat USS Lexington. The Keystone State pulls into line behind the gunboats, beginning the grand procession of transport steamers. Some delays occur when the Chancellor goes aground, but the expeditionary fleet is finally underway again at about 9 p.m. At first, none of the Union troops knew where they were heading, but the word soon spread across the fleet that their destination was Columbus. The men were then briefed on their mission. The Federals
I'm really engaged, really immersed in this. I'm enjoying this
would
episode.
attack a Confederate camp known as Camp Johnston across the river from Columbus at Belmont, Missouri.
Okay.
Throughout the pre-dawn hours of November 7, 1861, Grant's Expeditionary Command is transported downriver towards Columbus and Belmont. At about 8 a.m., the first transport ties up on the Missouri shore, 3 miles north of Belmont. Commander Walk's gunboats hover out in the main channel providing cover. The pilot of the Belle Memphis, Charles Scott, chooses a site called Hunter's Farm, a small steamboat landing close to the end of Lucas Bend, just out of sight. Though not out of range of the Columbus batteries, the formidable Confederate artillery batteries posted on the bluffs of Columbus include 10-inch Columbiads and 11-inch howitzers. However, the most dangerous gun in the Columbus battery is the massive Lady Polk, a 128-pounder Whitworth rifle, the largest gun in the Confederacy.
Okay.
By 8:30 a.m., the Federal infantry is ashore. Their officers soon form them into ranks in a clearing in front of a cornfield. Behind them, the soldiers can hear the Chicago Light Battery still coming ashore. Brigadier General Grant begins marching his infantry regiment south down a single wooded road toward Belmont. Union columns push on, clearing wooded thickets and fallen timbers, forming an abattis in their path. Up ahead, Grant's independent cavalry companies, leading the march, skirmish with rebel pickets in the woods. Consulting with Brigadier General McClernand, Grant begins forming his attack plan as they near the Confederate camp. The 5 infantry regiments go into line of battle, with Dougherty's brigade on the left and McClernand's on the right. Once the Cairo brigade is deployed into line, McClernand orders forward 2 companies from each of his regiments as skirmishers at 10 a.m. Spearheading McClernand's probing action on the far right is a platoon of Captain William A. Schmidt's Company A, 27th Illinois.
Okay.
This is Colonel Buford's flank company under his best company commander. Colonel Logan also puts forward his 31st Illinois 2 flank companies, A and K, under the experienced command of indispensable Lieutenant Colonel John H. White. On the left side of the Union line is Colonel Dougherty's Bird Point Brigade, consisting of Colonel Lawman's 7th Iowa and Lieutenant Colonel Harrison E. Hart's 22nd Illinois. The 7th Iowa, already diminished by the assignment of 2 companies to guard the boat landing, pushes out a heavy skirmish contingent of 3 companies. Grant himself is posted on the left with Dougherty's brigade. Along Grant's front, which runs about half a mile down the Bird Point Road, companies of infantry skirmishers move forward across the slough and into the labyrinth of wild wood. For a while, these men try moving at the double-quick pace, then begin to slow as the big trees and undergrowth saps their strength and disorders their lines. As they progress, the men can hear drums
That'd be horrible to trek through
in the
that.
distance, the long roll coming from the rebel camp. The advance becomes cautious. To the rear of the skirmish line, back at Bird's Point Road, the main body of infantry and artillery continues to wait and grows restless. These men with bright new uniforms and outdated weapons strain to hear sounds that will tell them what is going on. It is alarmingly quiet in the woods across the slough. Suddenly, Captain Schmidt's lead platoon on the extreme
They're like quite far out.
right of Buford's 27th Illinois encounters Confederate cavalry on the right, about 100 yards beyond the slough, and draw fire. They return the fire, easily driving off the rebel horsemen, and continue on. After the initial contact, Buford stiffens and extends Captain Schmidt's line by sending up the remainder of Company A. Still not satisfied with the number of troops forward, Buford now orders his entire regiment over the slough and in general support of Schmidt. After an advance of another 200 yards, Schmidt's company is struck again, this time by fire from a larger body of cavalry. One man falls wounded. Schmidt holds his ground and forms his company A into line. He then concentrates his men's fire and soon drives off the enemy. Colonel Buford had heard enough. He orders the 27th Illinois forward at the double quick. Dismounting from his horse, Colonel Buford personally leads the regiment, pushing forward companies ahead rapidly but cautioning against becoming scattered and detached from the main body. Soon, Buford's men begin to see small groups of Confederate infantry in the thickets to their front and right.
Okay.
They exchange shots, and the Confederates quickly retire. Realizing Buford's 27th Illinois had developed the enemy to his right, General McClernand begins pushing his other regiments forward in an attempt to maintain the original brigade alignment. It is at this point that the call goes back down Bird's Point Road to bring up Taylor's Chicago Battery, with McClernand ordering a section of the battery to protect the road. As the Union advance continues through the thickets and woods, the Confederates steadily give way before the Federal attack. By 11 a.m., all Confederate skirmishers have been driven back to their main line of battle. Close behind in pursuit are the lead elements of the 30th and 31st Illinois. As he nears the Confederate position, Colonel Logan folds his 3 skirmisher companies back into his line of battle and gives Lieutenant Colonel White command of the companies on the left flank. The regiment then advances, with White's battalion striking the left of the 12th Tennessee, the 13th Arkansas, and the right of the 22nd Tennessee. Lieutenant Colonel Tyree H. Bell's Confederates of the 12th Tennessee return fire, and after a time, White withdraws his battalion with casualties. Simultaneously, Logan's right wing comes under heavy fire from Colonel James C. Tampin's troops of the 13th Arkansas. 2 company commanders from the 31st Illinois quickly go down, and Logan's horse is shot from under him, with a musket ball shattering the pistol hanging from his hip. Logan commands his troops to drop to their stomachs and shoot from the ground. Most of the shots from the 31st, however, are unaimed, just volume fire at an enemy 200-300 yards away, hidden by intervening trees. Recognizing this, General Grant orders Logan to have his regiment cease fire to conserve ammunition. Logan's position on the left flank of Grant's line is in danger from both the 13th Arkansas and the heavy fire from the 12th Tennessee beyond Logan's left. McClernand corrects the situation with dispatch, moving the 31st Illinois to the left. He also orders up a section of the Chicago Battery to support Logan's movement and places it under the colonel's command. Fortunately for Colonel Logan, the 12th Tennessee is beginning to run short on ammunition. The Tennessee troops fix bayonets and charge into the waiting muskets of Logan's regiment. The 13th Arkansas soon joins in the charge, but is also repulsed by Blackjack Logan's troops. Meanwhile, in the center of Grant's battle lines, the 7th Iowa and the 30th Illinois press the attack on the 21st and 22nd Tennessee. On Grant's right, the 22nd Illinois continue pushing back the 13th Tennessee. All the while, Colonel Buford's 27th Illinois and Dolan's cavalry company are moving along a road to the Confederates' left and strike them from the woods in their exposed flank. As the 27th Illinois begins its attack on the Confederate left flank, Colonel Logan's 31st Illinois also moves into a position to attack the Confederates' right. Grant's attack plan is now turning into a double envelopment pincer of the rebel lines. After hours of close quarters,
they're getting encircled. It's not good, is it?
Musket fighting, the rebel lines in the fields beyond Belmont are beginning to break. Grant's pincer movement was playing out perfectly as the 27th and 31st Illinois attacked from the flanks while the rest of McClernand and Dougherty's brigades pressed the center. At 2 p.m., the fighting quickly becomes one-sided as General Pillow's line of battle begins to collapse and withdraw toward Camp Johnston. The orderly retreat soon turns into a panicked rout as Federal batteries open fire on the retreating Confederates.
Okay.
Around 2:30, the Confederates abandoned their colors and artillery before running towards the river in their attempt to escape. Grant is constantly at the front of his battle lines, personally leading his men in the field. By 3 p.m., Camp Johnston has fallen to the Federals. However, in the words of General Grant, his soldiers were demoralized by their own victory and began freely looting the rebel camp. It took several minutes for Grant and his officers to restore order to the ranks, and he orders the camp and its supplies burned to finally return stability to the men. However, when the Federals burned Camp Johnston, they failed.
It's good that he like stopped the looting.
To notice several wounded Confederates still trapped inside numerous tents, and the crippled soldiers burned to death. Although this is an accident, the retreating Confederates believe that this is intentional murder of prisoners and become outraged. As the Union troops begin to march back to their transports between...
It was a mistake, but I do see us.
3:30, 4 p.m., taking with them 2 captured guns and 106 Confederate prisoners, they are suddenly attacked by rebel reinforcements brought over from Columbus on the transport boats Prince and Charm. These troops soon threatened to cut off Grant's line of retreat. The Southerners are troops of the 15th Tennessee, the 11th Louisiana, and various mixed infantry units under General Pellow and Colonel Benjamin F. Cheatham. By this time, Major General Polk has also crossed the Mississippi River from Columbus.
Oh shit.
And was taking charge of the Confederate lines. To make matters worse for Grant and his men, Lady Polk unleashes a salvo of shells from Columbus towards their position. The fire from Lady Polk is soon joined by the other Confederate batteries in the town. The Union gunboats under Commander Walk soon exchanged fire with the Confederate batteries in Columbus.
What the range is? Holy shit.
Grant orders his men to begin forcing their way through the rebel lines back towards the transports. Suddenly, remembering the 7th Iowa detachment he had left to guard the escape route further back, Grant gallops back in search of his men, only to find Confederate soldiers moving in his direction. The 7th Iowa detachment had actually returned to the boats after learning of the Confederate river crossing and the success of Grant's raid. Spinning his horse around and racing for the river, Grant notices that the riverboat captains have already ordered the mooring lines cast off. In an impressive display of his equestrian abilities, General Grant manages to gallop across the gangplank of the Belle Memphis as he cheer him on.
Grant's so fucking sick, or Grant is so fucking sick.
As the last man to board the transports, Grant orders the riverboats to begin sailing back up the Mississippi toward Cairo. By 5 p.m., Brigadier General Ulysses S. Grant's first battle is over. The Union had lost 607 men, the Confederates around 641. The battle is technically inconclusive, although the Union forces under General Grant were successful in capturing and destroying Camp Johnston and taking with them 100 prisoners. The counterattack by the Confederates threw Grant's men into disarray. Both sides claimed victory for the battle. However, the Battle of Belmont proves to be a crucial first step in Grant's Civil War career.
Okay. Thank you once again, WarHawk, for making amazing content. If you guys haven't already, head over to his page. That link is down below. Makes amazing content. I enjoyed this one. I'm definitely jumping into the next one as quick as I can. If you guys are looking forward to my reaction to the next episode, you know what to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will catch you in the next video.